で、スタートアップをやってる方、スマート。
開ける？あ、知ってると思う、多分。
Environmental technologies. Solar, megatower maintenance, as well as bridge maintenance.
じゃあ、メーカーの方、
僕を呼んでメーカーと呼んでる。
まずその以外、何をやってるか。ちょっと早く、何をやってるか説明していただけますか。そして、HAX。私は日本経済新聞で記者をしていて、スタートアップの記事を中国専門ジャーナリスト、中国フリーランスなんですけど、今中国の政治とかの記事を読む形で。木村と申します。趣味でドローンを三木と申します。今はエンジェル投資を中心にインベスターでハードウェアの会社に投資したハードウェアの会社に投資したロボットの会社日本家庭用はい。山田と
Locksmiths and car emergency.
Car emergency.
Suddenly stopped and yes, opened the car. Car rescue. Rescue for the car.
Okay.
Yeah, suddenly stop in the highway. Somebody have to go. Have to leave the door.
Okay. Immobilizer. Sorry. Okay. Thanks.
北と申します。シンクタンクのリサーチャーです。産業生産を非常にしています。そうすると、
インダストリーコンセンス。
Very big company coming from MUFG. Yeah, Mitsubishi. So big company. And he supported the economy research for Japanese governments. Ministry of Industry and Trade and Industry. 経産省。
Anyone else?
Please, personal story from there.
Personal story. Okay. So a little bit personal story. Soもともとフランス出身で、最初は2000年あたりに日本へ移って、日本では、テレコム通信会社で勤めてて、特に戦略と知的財産のリサーチと内戦士やってたんだけども、その後で 4年間で、その後で韓国で1年で、その後で中国、北京、タイで5年で、韓国と中国で自分のコンサル会社を始めて、特に市場調査、テレコムとモバイル、インターネット関係のイノベーションのリサーチ。例えば、もうすでに成功している会社、日本、中国、韓国ですでに成功している会社についてリサーチして、海外のお客さんに説明をする仕事です。で、3年前にHAX はまだ始めたばっかりの時、やっぱり深センでは結構特別なことが行っていると思ったんですよ。で、同じく2000年あたりに日本では i モードがあったんですよ。で、あの時は日本はi モードあの時は、海外では結構日本に比べるとサービスが遅れてた。でもあの時は i モードはほとんど日本だけで行ったことですね。で、その後で韓国では、オンラインゲームとかソーシャルネットワークが流行ってた時にほとんど韓国だけ行ってた。でも今回はやっぱりそのハードウェアは、文化とのコネクションはもっと簡単だったと思ってた。サービスのデータがインターネットサービスだとやっぱり文化によって人の答えは違ってるんですね。でハードウェアは大体もらったことを見てそのまま使えることなのでもっと世界中に流行ることができると思います。で、深センは特別なレソースが集まっているので、世界中のイノベーターが中国の深センと連続していたら、世界中のイノベーションをさせられる。I'm going to switch to English.
Yes, okay.
So basically, I thought HAX was in a very special time, and special place to connect innovators from everywhere with very unique resources that were only in Shenzhen to make global products. Physical products, electronic products, a lot easier to sell globally because it's very clear to understand compared to mobile or online service. There's much less culture, much less connections that are necessary to understand. So I thought that would be really interesting to connect Asia, innovators, and customers around the world. So I joined HAX 3 years ago. So it's been a long time now in Asia. I worked a bit also in Singapore, KL, Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, and Silicon Valley. And I've lived so in many places, so I'm in an interesting position to compare ecosystems and to understand the differences in people's thinking about innovation, in ecosystem resources as well. So I have a presentation about HAX and some of our projects. If you have any question, just raise your hand. I'll answer the question. So you are we just moved to this office less than 2 weeks ago. That's why it's still a big mess. Normally, I just tried this projector today.
Thank you.
I'm happy it works. And I'm here mostly to answer your questions. So if you already have some questions, you can ask me now, and I will think to include the answers when I present. So what do you want to know about HAX? Tell me now. What do you want to know?
Yes. What is your criteria to work with if you like to choose a startup.
Okay, how do we select startups?
Yeah.
Okay, this is in the presentation, so we'll cover that. Okay, anything else? Why do you visit?
Yes.
Maybe finish.
Yes, of course, every people knowing why you make here in Shenzhen and mostly in Fatabek.
Mostly
in here,
yeah,
Fatabek.
yeah. So, has everyone read Takasu's book?
僕の本読んだ人何人ぐらいですか？ライザーハンド。
Oh, wow. Very good. Okay, so you know already quite a lot. Have you watched the documentary by Wyatt about Shenzhen? We have Wyatt? No.
Yes.
Documentary.
イギリスのワイヤードで、深センのドキュメンタリーが日本のワイヤードにも載った。あれはすごく良いもの。いや、that was quite nice. Mostly in videos.
Yeah, it's really good.
Mostly videos.
1 hour documentary
Yes.
on Shenzhen. Very good.
Yes, very good.
And free.
Mostly passion and atmosphere. I can feel it from the video.
Yeah.
Not only the documents.
Yeah. Okay, so I don't exactly know what you want to know.
Yes. Don't be shy.
How is this work schedule for startups here? Like,
Okay, what do they do here?
and also, so like, they are working from Monday to Friday, and they usually have holidays and.
Okay, if you look when you enter, if you look at the office, it's very quiet. So you know already they don't start early.
Yes, it's a very creative lifestyle.
Okay, I'll explain about how they work.
And also the holiday,
Long
probably
holiday.
they probably want to come back to the US or their own country, no? During the work. No day.
Well, we generally have like 1 week holiday plan in the program, but not yeah, in 4 months. Yes.
I want to know how to search.
How do we find the startups? Okay, I can talk about that. Okay. Yes.
Even HAX, some team delayed their shipping, so I want to know why this happened. What can be most difficult?
Okay. Why do they ship late sometimes? Yes.
Could you tell me your success story with your
Success
partner?
stories. Okay. I can do that. Okay. Yes.
I want to know the changing point, start from HAX and middle and now.
The evolution of that.
Evolution of HAX and your vision. Like first year is more and more IoT, now is a robot, or you start thinking this is better, but now it's changing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes.
Tell me about the unsuccessful story.
Unsuccessful stories.
Yeah, it's an important theme. Yeah, because
we also have. Yes.
I want to know what is difference in startup from Shenzhen and Japan.
Okay. Different styles of startups. Okay.
yeah, and we can promise for you, we definitely respect to the favorites. We know already hardware is hard.
Yes.
We can respect. Talk is easy. We can very respect to the favorite and fail
Okay.
in the project.
Okay. Oh wow. Okay.
What kind of machines, what displays have?
What do we have in our
And
workshop?
also, is it possible to use it for hours and
Okay. Okay. Okay.
inside?
Yes.
How many employees?
How many employees? Oh, 12. This one, that's all right.
I want to know fund size
Fund size at the moment it's 250 million, covering different revenues. I'll go into detail. Until now, we don't have it. Just one investment. Yeah, I'll explain that. Yes.
difference Shenzhen ecosystem and Silicon Valley ecosystem.
Silicon Valley and Shenzhen. Okay, I think we have lots of questions now. So I'm not sure I'm going to remember everything. I'm trying to cover. If by the end I haven't covered the question, please ask again, and I will cover it. Okay. So let's talk about HAX. So what we do at HAX is we're an investment company. So we're not a makerspace. We're not a Fab Lab. Last week was the big Fab Lab conference. We're not a Fab Lab. This is not a public space. This is a private company investing in secret projects. That's what we do. We help the companies not only make their project become real, but also we try to help them scale, because it's one problem to make a prototype, it's one problem to make a product in the factory, but it's another problem to build a real business. It's all different things. So we try to help with everything. So we're part of this fund called SOSV. So most of those slides are online, so you can take pictures, feel free, it's very welcome, but you can find them online if you need more, like to refresh, or if you need the visuals. So the SOSV is a fund created by this gentleman here, whose name is Sean O'Sullivan, who is an entrepreneur who created basically Google Maps before Google Maps, a company called MapInfo. It went IPO, and then he became an investor, and was quite successful as an investor. So now he has $250 million. And he decided that instead of creating himself new companies, it would be more impact to help a lot of entrepreneurs to be successful as an investor and create systems to support them. So our focus with SOSV is big trends, very big trends, with strong impact and global. So we have several accelerators as part of SOSV. One is focused in software, in Shanghai. HAX is the hardware branch. We have one for biotech in San Francisco and Ireland, and one on food business. The biggest branches are HAX and IndieBio. I won't talk about the other guys, just a few mentions about those guys. They create a lot of interesting technologies. So some of it is like genetically modified things. Some of it is just the culture of existing cells. So if you take a piece of muscle and you cultivate it in the lab, you get a big piece of muscle, and you can make steak. And you can basically make steak without killing any animal, and it's a very clean, natural cells. It's the exact same one multiplying. So some companies there create egg whites without chicken. They create meat without cows. And another one created, rhino, the animal, big animal with big horn. That in China they like to use the horn for food industry. So one company created even like cultured rhino horn. So it's the exact same cells. You cannot, in the lab, you cannot make a difference between the real and the lab one. And they hope that this will stop killing real rhinos, because they have now the exact same without killing them. So this is the type of thing that's really interesting from this accelerator. So HAX itself, our first branch was in Shenzhen, still the biggest. Our focus here is to help creators to go from a proof of concept to launching a product. We realize that when you launch, you haven't finished the job. Even if you get $1 million on Kickstarter, you're not done, because you get a peak, and then you go down, and then you still don't have sustainable business. So we created HAX Boost in San Francisco to help scale businesses. So it's helping founders to connect with distribution, retail, like Best Buy, Amazon, Walmart, also in Japan, SoftBank, in China, JD, a lot of retailers, so they can get scaled. We have another program in New York focused on smart cities. It's a partnership with the Mini brand of BMW. So it's a focus program. So the difference between HAX and SOSV in general and other investors is that very often investors are people coming from finance. Most of the managers and partners in SOSV and HAX come from entrepreneurs. Duncan, who's running the accelerator program here, is not here today, but he created his own hardware startup. Then he worked at IDEO. Then he joined HAX because IDEO, he was doing big projects for very big companies, but most of the projects never happened. So it's a little bit sad. It's very well, good business, but all your work becomes nothing. But here, you can help the founders of small companies, and then you see them grow. It's much more exciting on this very innovative projects. If you work with Samsung, you help them create a new fridge, not so exciting. So that's what we have. We have a new program in China for Chinese startups, because China is growing very fast, and we decided to create a program just for Chinese startups. At the moment, this program is running, so most of the startups in the office right now are the Chinese startups. The international program starts in September, the next one. So the only foreign companies here are the alumni teams who come back here sometimes. So we have between 5 and 10 alumni teams who come back to use our office. It's very good for us to have them in the office because we can connect them to the new guys. Am I okay so far? You understand? English is okay? Well, yes. I try to speak clearly because I have no choice. All right, so the programs we run cover those 5 categories. Life is lifestyle products. It's mostly B2C products. Health technologies, robotics, infrastructure, fabrication. This is machines to make things. Most of our startups, so we're based in China, but most of our startups are very international. Half of them come from US to Canada, about 20% from Europe, 30% from Asia, about half from China. So half is B2B and B2C. So Takashi, you were asking, how did HAX change since it started? When HAX started, the first year we invested in just 10 companies and only $25,000 in each. It was really quite small. And the projects were a lot simpler. It was a little thing with an app, generally. Today, after about 2 years of HAX, we started to get more candidates with health tech and robotics. And we're like, oh, well, this is maybe too difficult. I don't know if we can do that. So we tried, and it worked. So we realized that, okay, health tech, yes, there is certification, there is all those things, but this is paperwork and testing. But you still need to make a product. And when you make a product, the fact that it's a health product is not so different. Robotics is a combination of mechanical, electronics, and mostly software. So with software, we don't really help them. That's their expertise. But to make the robot, we can help them a lot. We saw that this was also working really well. So those 2 categories today, like 2 years ago, was almost no startup doing robotics and health tech and HAX. And now, probably more than 1/3 of our startups is robotics and health. So we have, I'll show you some examples. We have some really cool robots. Another thing that changed is that in a few years, like in the past few years, we saw that the number of startups in the world has grown a lot in hardware. So because we were the first to do a hardware accelerator, at the beginning they were looking around, there was nobody, so they just contacted us. And then we got some good results, we showed we made progress. So even now, I think we still have basically first choice of the startups. So that helps a lot. So if you get good startups, you help them well, they get good results, then the new startups hear about the good results, and they're like, okay, I want to go there too. So it's kind of a virtual circle for us that we get good candidates, we give them good resources, we get good results, then we get better candidates, we can give them even better resources. So every time we try to improve our program. And we try to solve, when we started, the big problem was to turn a prototype into a product. So we learned how to do that with the supply chain and the electronic market. But then we realized, even if you have a good product, if you don't know how to launch it, if nobody hears about it, it's like a tree falling in a forest, right? If there's nobody around, what's the point? So we learned how to launch products. We're like, okay, so we're like, okay, we solved that problem. Next, what's the next problem? Then we realized, okay, even if you launch a product, after that, how do you scale? So we started Boost. And now we're trying to solve the next problems, which is basically how do you finance the company better, and how do you connect with customers on large companies earlier because this is important. If it's all connected, you make a good launch, then maybe big companies start to notice you. But if you don't know how to connect with them, you cannot have a new customer. If you cannot have a new customer, when you talk to investors, they say, okay, this thing, it sounds really good, we got good media, but how do we know if anyone really wants this? Like, do you have a corporate customer? You have a B2B customer. For investors, this is very strong validation. So that's what we're trying to do now. And we try to also provide more specialized resources for each category. So we already now have specialists for robotics in our team. So lifestyle now we know very well, so this one is doing well. Infrastructure we're learning, and we launched the New York program to work on this with smart cities. Fabrication, we're pretty good at this one. This is kind of maker tools and machines, so this one we know quite well. The next one to solve is health. We get some really good projects, but we want them, instead of taking 2, 3, 4 years to become available on market, we want them to go on market faster. So we want to understand better how to help them. Basically, I'm not exactly sure about the future in a few years, but what I know is that we try to always solve the biggest problem that is left for the next program.
Oh, you mean you think in the future more broadening in that category? I see.
Health, I think health is going to grow because it's incredible what the devices can do. We find we have devices that can replace drugs. We have devices that can help you live better and to avoid diseases or sickness. So I think it makes a lot of sense to have more health products. People talk about wearables. I believe that one of the biggest things for wearables is really health. It's not for fun. It's for health, to know in real time how you are and to help you avoid becoming sick. It's not, and some of them will also help you heal. So I'll show some examples.
Yes, and I think robotics and infra is quite a few several years ago because some things are too difficult and some things is not a market yet. But in the future, more and more technology learning more easy and the market is more and more diverse and grown. I think next year or next year in the future, you will be making more another category like HAX space.
We talked about it. Space is interesting. It's difficult. I haven't made a one-angel investment in a space company, and it's a difficult industry. Difficult. Mostly because the launch is very expensive.
Yes.
So finding the right business model with space is quite hard. Today it's almost only imagery. Almost that.
Could you tell me about more on the infrastructure?
Infra. Yeah. So infra is everything related to network of sensors, or city environment, or rural environment. I'll give some examples later. So if you want to tell.
That's a so big information to Japanese because some people is support about the infrastructure, and in Japanese we believe infrastructure is never changing long time. because
Yeah.
we have a good infrastructure already, but we didn't know the future.
Yeah, I mean, Japan has great infrastructure on some things, but there's new infrastructure that can be deployed.
Yes.
You could put a lot of different sensors for the environment. But, you could have air quality sensors as a very simple one in every neighborhood, because the air quality in Akihabara and Ginza and Yoyogi Koen are different, right? So it's important to understand that for this you will need sensors, cheap sensors, very cheap sensors, and you will need also cheap data, and you will need power, you will need energy or low power devices. Today, connection is quite easy. There's internet, there's 3G, 4G, whatever, everywhere. The problem is the cost of the chips, not so cheap. The cost of the sensors depends, and the cost of data is still a bit high for machine things. I don't know if you know, but like vending machines in Japan, Jihanki, they're all connected, I think, with PHS, right? They all have a PHS connection to say, it's missing, like a Pocari Sweat is empty. So they all have, it's all already a huge connected network of machines that people just don't know about, right? So I'll give more examples. So what we try to do at HAX is really help improve the product, reduce the risk, go to market faster, and get funded faster. So those are some of the most successful companies. All of them have valuations between $10 million and about $50 million.
Oh, next thing is infra.
Yeah, next thing is infra, because it's sometimes you could put them into categories, but it's a $9 computer, and what they want is to enable networks. So some of the investors that invested in those companies, and we hope maybe some of them will IPO in a few years, we'll see. So for B2C, we have done a lot of crowdfunding, over 60 projects on Kickstarter, with the most active investor in hardware startups. And I would say what's special is that we prepare them for crowdfunding. We have learned a lot about how to do it, and we can help companies do well. So about 90% of our startups that go on Kickstarter raise at least $100,000. It's already not bad. 90% for projects, at least $100,000. If one of our startups only gets $100,000, we're a little bit disappointed. 200 is okay, not bad. But now we have high expectations because we had 6 projects over $1 million.
これはすごい大事なことで、HAX はコンセプトとかどうやるといいものを作るかについてもサポートをしているので、多分みんなが知ってるスタートアップの、クラウドファンディングって成功させることが大事だから、だいたい500万円ぐらいがゴールとか1000万円ぐらいがゴールとかのところが多くて、で、これぐらい跳ねてるのってあんまないとか、ものすごく少ないで、どう作るかよりも何を作るかの方が大事なので、ここはその何を作るかで良いことをやってますっていう一個のリザルトだと思います。
So I don't know if in Japan, I don't know how many projects in Japan reach over $1 million on Kickstarter or in crowdfunding in general. I think not many.
I think I know, but I'm not sure Japanese market because living in Singapore all the time. 日本のクラウドファンディングに1億超えたのって何かあるかな？100万ドル。そもそもでかいのは何だ？でかいのは何だ？やってるけど1億ないよね。He investor told never reach to $1 million from Japan.
Yeah, I remember there was one that got $1 million, but then people started to discuss it, and it went this ring. You remember the ring? It went over $1 million, and then people started to complain a lot, and then went to 800 or 900.
もう一個面白いのはコクーンで、テクノロジーは音響と提携してやってるんですよ。で、日本でもソニーとかが自前で プロダクト作ってクラウドファンディング出したりとかしてるけど、でもこんなに大きくなってない。だからそこは僕たちがなんとかしないと、テクノロジー的にはこういうものを多分作れるんだけど、まあ作れてないから、テクノロジー以外に何かが足りないと思います。
Yes, as Takashi said, this one is a collaboration between Cocoon, the company making this device, and Onkyo. This is headphones that help you sleep, so they're very slim, so you can sleep with them, and they have brainwave sensors that can detect your brain activity to start the music, stop the music, giving you sounds to help you sleep.
I back to
So the specialty is the design and the sensors. The specialty is not the audio, but it's headphones, so they need good audio.
Yes.
So we connected them with Onkyo to get technology license for this audio technology. We also did that with those guys. This is custom fit earphones. I will explain later. So you were asking about the selection. So what we want essentially is a complete team that can basically cover mechanical, electrical, and software. Most teams, when they arrive here, they don't know anything about China, about production, about marketing, branding. They don't know anything of that. So we train them. And so that's what we want. Like team who can build prototypes, and then people who will do what needs to be done, and we will tell them how to do it. We want projects targeting a large market. We're investors, so we want companies that can be big. We want them to show a proof of concept, so not just an idea or a PowerPoint. We want to see a prototype. The prototype tells us a lot of information about the market, the technology, the team, the design sense, a lot of useful things. And to be a startup that can compete well, we want them to have a very strong competitive advantage. And that's the hard part. Before, it was a few years ago, if you were a maker and you had a little idea, you put some electronics, maybe you can create a company and maybe you can do well. Today you need science. You need things like science, software, very strong software, especially for robotics, or community. So revenue models, just to mention in passing, the classic one is hardware sales, but a lot of investors don't like this model. They don't like it because they're like, okay, you sell one piece, and then what? How big is your market? So what investors like a lot is subscriptions and data, so like software as a service. And they say, oh, you need the hardware, but the real business is the data of the subscription. So they like that. And they like consumables. So this is Keurig, you put a capsule and you get coffee, and you keep buying capsules from them. So this type of consumables, investors also like. In our case, we're also okay with this, but we know that it's risky.
Yes.
Because after you sell the machine, that's it, right? So maybe you heard that expression that to be successful, it takes a village to help you. You need so many people to help you. So we try to build a village. We try to build a place where people will help each other. And we try to build a place where everybody has good skills to contribute. So I would say that's a big difference with makerspaces and Fab Labs, who are very open, because it's a lot about education, about learning, about having fun. Here, we want everybody to be very skilled, because when the startups arrive, they look around, they look at other startups, and if they see a startup that's not so good, they're like, that's the level here. Right? Yeah. So we try to be very selective so that everybody think, okay, those guys do a different project from me, but they know very well like Bluetooth technology, computer vision, and maybe I'm not so strong in computer vision, but I need it so I can talk with them, and we don't compete. So we try to not take projects that compete as well.
That's similar as a science conference. Every people is a scientist, so they can make a village. but not a scientist cannot come inside.
What do you mean?
Yeah, I think this model is a bit similar university's lab and science conference.
Yeah, that
What
could be
do-
like that.
yeah.
But
Like some, yeah.
But it's like that's a difference. I mean, yeah, in the conference, it's not always be selected by somebody, but it is select the company to work with. I think that's a difference. And may I ask one question on?
Yes.
And do those startups work all the time? Be here or something around here? Do you expect
Generally, we want them to be in the office.
Mhm.
Mostly because we have some meetings with them. So
Yeah.
I can tell you about how it works. Every week, every Monday, there's a meeting one-on-one with each team. We discuss what they've done, and we discuss their planning and the problems they have. And after the meeting, we do some follow-up meetings if we need to. For example, some teams want to change their brand. So we're not going to solve this in 30 minutes on Monday. We're going to have a follow-on meeting to discuss branding and brainstorm names and do a follow-up. If they need some help for electronics, we're going to tell them to talk to one of our experts or to another team, so they will do follow-up. During the week, we also have presentations by experts. There's sessions with some mentors coming in. And sometimes at the beginning of the program, we do some visits to the market, there are some visits to factories. But mostly after that, it's one-on-one meetings, follow-up meetings to cover the problems. And we have 3 different phases of the program. I'm going to detail it later.
What is the average number of the employees per company?
The typical startup, 3 to 5.
3 to 5.
Sometimes 2, never 1.
Never one.
It's too much work for
Exactly.
one person. And sometimes bigger teams.
Yeah.
I think we had teams up to like 10 people.
10 people.
Yeah.
That's
But
much.
generally, founders is 2 to 5 people.
Okay.
Yeah. So what's interesting is that when the international program is running, we have 15 startups in our office, plus alumni. So you multiply it by 3 or 4 in average, plus our staff. That's almost 100 people doing hardware with very high skills. Alumni also have a lot of experience to share. So it's a lot of people you can collaborate with. And we try to put the startups in the same category together. So if you work with robots, the startup next to you, also robots. So if you have some questions, you turn around, you can discuss. That short distance communication is very important. One day we decided to change the office arrangement. We put all the alumni in one side because we thought, oh, it's well organized this way. But then we realized that people stopped talking to them.
Yeah.
Because they had to go all the way to the end of the office, and the project said, hey, can I ask you a question like this? So it's totally different to turn or chit chat like this and to walk there. So it's almost like the forces in the electrons and the protons and the short distance is much stronger. Even if you're in the same office, you could, if you're that far, then you will never talk to that person across the office.
Yes.
So we also try to arrange events or places for them to talk more. So we have a kitchen with installing, so they spend time there. Every Friday, we get all the teams together to listen to a quick update. So people go for like 5 minutes, they say, okay, this is what we're doing, this is what we've done this week. And if they ask a question, they can ask everyone. So I'll try something. I will show you an example. So imagine I need to find a contact at Sony. Do you know, anyone knows somebody at Sony here? Can you raise your hand?
No.
If you know, okay.
Yeah, I heard from Akitsuka.
You know a guy at Sony. Anyone know somebody at Panasonic? Anybody? Know somebody?
Yes, some people I bring to here from Panasonic.
Okay. So what I mean is that if you ask a group a question, you have, if it's a collaboration group, you have very high chance.
Yes.
Every time you have a problem, someone has a solution or knows someone who has a solution. And that works because it's a community of collaborators. Yeah, that's what we try to do. So there are also now a big network of founders around the world who finished the HAX program that also help. So yeah, every day you can have useful conversation. Normally a startup is very lonely. You're on your own, you have to solve the problem on your own. But now here you have a lot of people you can ask for help on advice and answers. And you can solve problems a lot faster. Let's say you're struggling with this Bluetooth configuration. You can ask, anybody knows Bluetooth protocol? Can help me out a little bit? One of our startups, the founder was the son of the inventor of Bluetooth. So, his father didn't really teach him Bluetooth. But he worked at Apple after for 8 years. And he knew very well Bluetooth protocol. So, what that means is that with enough people, you have access to a lot of knowledge and you can solve problems very fast.
You need a weekly meeting, but you need not a daily report by email, right?
No.
Yes.
Yeah. No daily reports. We just need updates every week, discussing and to see where they are in the planning, if there's something blocking the teams, and if we can help them solve problems.
Yes, daily report is really, really hard.
So this year we're investing in a lot of companies because of, so we're going to do 30 international investments here. We're doing 10 Chinese investments. We're doing 20 investments in Europe. And we're doing 40 scaling investments. So it's not really cash investments in resources in San Francisco. That's $100,000. But essentially, what HAX offers as a basic deal is 4 months of acceleration and $100,000. That's the deal here. And we take 9% equity in each company.
And almost companies still stay in Shenzhen, right? Sometime.
Yeah, after they finish the program, many companies come back to Shenzhen because after you try Shenzhen, it's hard to go back to your country because it's so slow or expensive things where you come from. So generally, even if they don't move here back full time, they come back for at least a few weeks or a few months to accelerate. So one of our teams right now, they finished in what was it, in May, and they came back in July, end of June, I think. And they're going to leave next week, but they basically were here for almost 2 months to do a new iteration of the prototype because it's so much faster and better. So the curriculum at HAX is 3 phases. First, we want to make sure that each startup has a clear product and a clear plan. And it's really important because the world has too many products. And if you want to be noticed, you need to be very different and very clear how you are different. So we work on positioning, strategy, branding, we do technical review, introduce the resources in Shenzhen. Phase 2, building teams right, using the supply chain of Shenzhen to understand how to close down and improve your product. Phase 3 is preparing for launch, so having the right clear message, the marketing, PR, film, marketing, fundraising, all those things. So our team here covers all those skills. So my specialty, so I'm a mechanical engineer. After I worked at Airbus, I went to work for strategy and marketing roles. So my job here is mostly around strategy, marketing, PR, I don't feel, and financing. Okay, next. So what we try to create at HAX is essentially a kind of business class between the DIY economy
That's nice.
first class here. So this one is really expensive, first class, right? This one is cheap, but it's really hard.
Yes.
And this one is a little bit,
Yes,
more
yes.
resources, better food, more comfortable.
free drink.
Yeah, and still good atmosphere. So, maybe you heard things like that, like a week in Shenzhen is like a month anywhere else. That's the best supply chain in the world. You have small scale development to mass scale. So we call that the 4S of Shenzhen: savings, skill, speed, and scale. And I made that acronym. My acronym. 4S. Okay, so let's talk about some real projects now. So in lifestyle, there's so many categories. We put some keywords here. It does everything from pet tech to baby tech, personal transporters, audio, so many things, right? Just show you some. So this is one called Print. It's a printer for smartphones with augmented reality features. So inside a picture, the app can recognize the photo you printed and can play a video or message in it. So you can have some secret message. It's doing really, really well. On Kickstarter, they did $1.5 million. It was the biggest Kickstarter in France. So Rebels, I mentioned those guys, custom fit earphones. So you get earphones fit to your ear in 1 minute. This is how it works. So there's a gel inside the silicone. You place it, and then from your phone you say, okay, and then in 1 minute it becomes the exact shape of your ear, and then it stays hard. So you get real custom fit. This one is another very interesting product. It's kind of hybrid headphones with in-ear and over-ear. And what they can do is that all of us hear differently. And some of us hear very well the bass, some of us don't hear very well the high notes. What they can do is analyze your hearing in 1 minute and then create a personal equalizer. So the way it works is that in this 1 minute they send a signal to your ear, so the sound is captured, goes to your brain, then it comes back, but it's modified by your hearing. And your ear actually emits some sound back when you listen to things. There's sound coming back. They measure the difference, and they can create with software a personal equalizer exactly for you. So in terms of sound, it's incredible difference. It's like you hear in HD. Imagine you go to a concert. If you stand at the front, you have all the bass, and you can't hear anything.
Yes.
If you're at the back, you have good atmosphere at the front, good party, but the sound not so good. If you're next to the guy who's doing the mixing, this is the best sound. That's where everything is well, but it's mixed not for you, it's mixed for the sound engineer, for his ear. So, and if you're at the back, maybe you don't hear the bass too much, but you hear well the high pitch. So you hear clearer, but you're missing the energy of the bass.
Yes.
So with a personal equalizer, you have everything well mixed for you all the time. Yes.
The presentation is very impressive. Did you help to make for them, or did they make the presentation videos?
The videos, we have some partnership with videographers who come here to help the teams. You watched that campaign?
No, I just saw the presentation animation image.
They did themselves.
They did it.
I mean, they hired somebody to help them.
Okay.
Yeah. It's
that's really good.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
I like it.
So this one, the product, what they showed to audio specialists and musicians or the sound engineers, everybody was so impressed. They didn't believe it was possible to put this in headphones.
You tried already? You tried already?
Yeah, of course.
Oh!
Of course. So they went on Kickstarter. They raised $1.8 million.
Yes. I know.
Biggest Kickstarter from Australia. And one of the founders is an ear surgeon. Yes. And he's also a firmware engineer. Those two two things.
Yeah, but
So it's really incredible. Initially, what's interesting, they wanted to make earphones because they need the thing they need to put tiny microphones inside your ears to measure the signal back. But we're like, if you make earphones, it's hard to sell because the big market is really about headphones. So we discussed with them, they said, yeah, but if we do headphones, we can't really measure well inside the ear. We said, why don't you make a hybrid? You have a little bit inside on the headphone over. So like, oh, but okay, will that be comfortable? So they tried, and they found that it's actually quite comfortable because the in-ear part doesn't need to be attached because the headphone is placing it. So you don't need to place it, it's just like hanging there. And by having the headphone on the outside, what they did is they split the sound. They put the bass outside, so they can use strong bass. Now they put the medium on the high tones inside. So you hear very clearly everything. And you also have this energy feeling of the bass. And it's also really good sound isolation because of in-ear and outside. So it's really interesting product. Okay, so this one is a product for kids. It's a watch that helps kids remember what to do, what they have to do, like brush their teeth, feed the cat, prepare for school, when it's playtime, when it's time to study, whatever. So it's for little kids. Interesting, this one, the technology is very little. It's all about the user experience. When they came to HAX, they wanted to put a lot of technology in the watch. They wanted GPS, they wanted voice communication, they wanted to have some location-based games. And they had this idea of icons. So we discussed with them and said, you know, the GPS, when people think watch and kids and wearables, everybody wants to put GPS. But how often do you really need that? Once a year? A little kid is always with an adult, right? Voice communication sounds interesting, but how often will you send a message to your kid or pick up a call from the kid during your work? Are you going to call your kid at school? Probably not. You always call the adult with them. So we challenged them on some of the functions, and they discussed with a lot of parents, and they realized that most of the functions everybody thinks should be in the watch, actually nobody cares about those functions, really, because they're not useful enough. So they removed all those functions that removed a lot of cost, and they focused on this one, which was helping the kids remember what to do. And a lot of parents realized that, yeah, I have to tell my kid every day, brush your teeth, take your jacket, for school, it's time to, like, the playtime is finished. So all those things that are very annoying for parents to remind their kids, are very annoying for kids too, right? So
yes.
with this, the kids can have a reminder, and they can also have a reminder for fun stuff. They can say, hey, it's still playtime, I can play, look, playtime still. So when they showed and explained this product to potential customers, a lot of them really liked it because it was so different and so useful every day for small things, but many small things. So some of you have kids? Okay, what do you think?
Really nice. If the kid playing all the time, so I have to say don't stop.
Stop. Yeah. But here you can set, okay, from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. you can play, and after that is study or something.
Yeah.
So they will have like
study or go to bed. But
yeah.
Sometimes kids feel that their parents as enemy.
Yeah. Parents don't like that also, right? Yeah. So now you can give the timing to the watch. What other parents?
Yeah, I think that I like that idea of the parent, but I'm sure that she will get rid of it.
She would
Get rid of it. Because she doesn't want to be controlled by the watch.
If it's useful for the kid, yeah, it's not. The idea is that there's also fun stuff in the watch for the kid. So they know when they can play, they know when, for example, it's the time to get, read a story as a parent. They can go to the parent and say, hey, time for a story now.
Yeah, I just tried to do here on my iPad. iPad in the living room, they're telling it what to do next time. So it is not successful.
That's another option. It's not very portable.
No.
And it's expensive.
Yeah, exactly.
But there's many solutions. The founders also have kids, and they try a lot of things with their kids, like agendas with things to take. They tried apps, but a wearable solution that's fun for kids they thought was a good idea, to give them a sense of time and make them more autonomous. The kid is more responsible. Anyway, that's just one example of a kind of low-tech, like kind of interesting product. They went on Kickstarter. They raised over $700,000. Quite a lot. So yes.
This product can be copied in Shenzhen.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. This is very easy. Very easy to copy, but it's not easy to create a good brand.
Yes.
So what they have is not technology here. What they have is know-how on what to put in the watch, and creating a brand and engaging with the community of parents. If parents look at this watch, where there's a big website, there's a lot of active parents, the company is responding a lot, there's done a lot of research about kids, and there's another watch, half the price, look the same, but there's no voice, there's no feedback, there's no research. You'll be like, can I trust that? Maybe it works, but do they understand what they're doing, right? So this is a case where actually it's all about the community and the research on behavior. So one of the founders has also done a lot of research on the kids' psychology, on parenting. But the companies in Shenzhen that can copy the electronics, they don't know anything about that.
Yes.
So it's an absolutely right question. So the barrier of entry here is the community and the know-how. And of course the brand that they created, because they created a nice, like kind of a nice approach to the product, a nice brand that's very kid-friendly, and it would be very difficult for Chinese, like how many Chinese brands do you know in the EU, like are selling well in Japan, for example? How many Chinese brands?
Yes.
Very few.
Very few. Maybe not the big guys like Huawei or whatever, but
Yes.
in terms of consumer products, very few new startups selling in Japan.
Yes.
Because it's very hard to build the trust in the brand, to build a quality brand.
Yeah, and after HAX, I bring you out to the most street of Huajiang Bay. You can see over 100 kind of smartphone kids, but never find in Japan. And I think this product is a purchase from the parents. Parents want to buy good things for kids.
Yeah, so absolutely. Actually, that's something we worked a lot with the founders to insist. We said, this product has to be fun and interesting for kids. It shouldn't just replace the parents and giving orders to the kids. It should also give fun stuff to the kids. Like for example, like the playtime, or you could set some surprise things for the kids that appear, like, oh, ice cream, hey, what is that? And then, oh, what is this? And then, oh yeah, I'll take you to ice cream time. You can create surprise alerts. So making things that are put the kid in charge or give him positive surprises, not just orders. Right? So HAX, there's lots of new keywords. So therapeutics, metabolic tech, predictive care, precision medicine.
Yeah, I know.
Lots of stuff. It's coming. So here's one that's really interesting. This one is a sleeping mask that can make you sleep in 10 minutes. So the founder of this company had a big car accident, and he was actually dead for 8 minutes. Then he came back, and the doctors told him, your back is broken, you're going to be in a wheelchair. And also, probably with all the pain you have, you won't be able to sleep well, and you won't be able to live very long. So if you don't sleep, you die quickly. They told him he will die within 5 years. So when he heard that, he was very shocked. And he decided to do as much research as possible on sleep. And he realized that if you use sound of lights, you can put your brain in a special state where you don't feel the pain and you can also sleep. So he created the first prototype for himself, and that's how he kept alive. But it was really expensive to make. It was impossible to make consumer product. But about 2 years ago, some of the sensors he was using, the components, became much cheaper. Mostly thanks to smartphones and other electronics. So he realized that now is the time to make, for the first time, the consumer product. So that's what he did. And his focus now is in people who have big problems sleeping, or people who have a lot of mental pain or physical pain, for example. So you know the US goes to war all the time. They go to start many wars, they just send soldiers. But not many soldiers die in war. In the past 15 years, about, I think, 5,000 soldiers from the US died in war. But 100,000 committed suicide. 100,000 soldiers. And a lot of them is because of PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder. They have so many images and mental problems after they come back from the combat zone that they can't sleep. And then they get really exhausted and very depressed and they commit suicide. So this can probably help some of them. Yes?
I see the company is from UK.
Yeah.
Do they make prototype in Shenzhen or in the UK? Where do they make their prototype?
Initially in UK, then they applied to HAX, and they had something that looked really quite bad. And they came here to improve it, cost down, change the brand, change the design, prepare for manufacturing, and launch it. So that's how they did. Most teams do the first prototype in their home country.
I see. When they market it, do they say they are a UK company or the Chinese company?
UK company.
UK company.
Actually, they probably don't even say UK company.
I see. But even though the management moved to Shenzhen to apply to...
They're back in UK now to do the second, to basically advance the technology. But they're not a Chinese company.
I see.
The founders are from UK.
Yeah.
And if you think of it, nationality is a brand.
Yeah.
Yes.
What's the nationality of HAX? I don't know. Like the money is from an American guy. HAX has a Shenzhen company registered. The investment comes from the US. The managers at HAX are French. Other guy in San Francisco is also French. And Duncan here is from the UK. So what's the nationality of that company? No idea.
So in a sense, for foreign startups, it is possible to move to Shenzhen for a couple of months to be in here and come back to their home country.
Yep.
Yes.
I think it works.
Yeah, back and forth.
Back and forth.
Some people stay longer. Generally, the visa is not a problem because you can get, so Americans are very lucky. They get the 10 years multiple entry visa to China, easily now.
Okay.
Really good. France, not so lucky. We had some problems because of the Beijing Olympics. There was some problems in France, so now it's always kind of difficult to get visa for French. But otherwise, most countries can get an invitation letter, get a 6-month visa, 1-year visa, have multiple entry, renew the visa. It's pretty easy. And for our founders, we never really had any problem for anyone. We've had like hundreds of founders from everywhere.
特にこれまで2日間回ってきた中でも日本人、アメリカ人、めっちゃいろんな人を見たと思うんですよ。ここが中国だからすごいんじゃなくて、ここが深センだからすごくて、ここに基本ナンバーワンの人が来るからすごくて、そのスペインリーグはスペインにあるからすごいんじゃなくて、あそこにメッシがいて、で他にも世界ナンバーワンのフットボーラーが大体スペインにいるからスペインリーグがすごくて、同じように深センに世界中の一発屋が集まってるからすごくて、だからその意味では中国にブランドがあるというよりはシェンゼンだったり、今この瞬間の戦前にいろんな人がいるからすごい人に誰でもすぐ会えるから、だからブランドがあるみたいな風に考えた方がいい気がします。
Yeah, maybe it's a good time to talk about ecosystems and the difference between Shenzhen and Silicon Valley. So when teams join HAX, we don't tell them you need to live in China forever. No. We tell them, you're from UK, fantastic. Find the best people you can in the UK. Build a team there. Do your R&D in the UK. Do your research in the UK. Do the development in China, development and production. And then do the marketing and sales where your customers are. If the number one market is US, go to US to visit, to meet with the partners and customers. You're a global company. You might be 3 people, you're a global company. Because you need to find the best resources where they are. So in Silicon Valley has incredible resources for many things, right? Excellent people, excellent funding, a lot of big companies who can be partners, customers, or acquirers of startups, good infrastructure, pretty good regulation, but the integration is a bit difficult. The problem in Silicon Valley is that if you want to hire great people, they're very expensive, and they're very hard to find, because either they already work for a big company, or they do their own startup, or they cost a lot of money. So as a UK startup, for example, almost no benefit trying to open an office to hire people in Silicon Valley. It's cheaper in UK, easier to find people. People probably just as good, because with the top people in the world, you can't hire them anyway. So you can get great engineers, like for example, the guy I mentioned from Apple, he used to work in Cupertino, he's from Sweden. He built an incredible team in Sweden, and the engineers there cost him 1/3 of the price of engineers in Silicon Valley. And they're excellent. They're like Ericsson people, whatever, ex-Nokia people, and like people from the Nordics. Nordic engineers, really good for hardware in particular. Another, like teams in Canada, the government in Canada reimburse as R&D costs half the salary. And the salary starts cheaper than Silicon Valley. So you pay, like a friend of mine has a company in Canada doing games. He has almost 100 people. And he said, most of my profit, and I think this profit is millions of dollars every year. He said, most of my profit is because I pay the cost of my engineers is 1/3. If I was paying full price, I wouldn't have any profit. But because they're cheaper, and because of government support, it's almost like government pays me my profit. So use the advantages you have in your home country. It's probably much easier to find great engineers as a Japanese company in Japan than in Silicon Valley. And probably also cheaper.
Yeah.
So that's,
And same as Chinese, I saw that over 200 people in Shenzhen, but I never know born in Shenzhen.
Yeah.
Eric Pines are coming from Chongqing, Violet Sui are coming from the Gandu, but very capacity. And maybe you know also.
About 5% of people in Shenzhen are from Shenzhen.
Yes.
So as a founder, your job is to find the best resources you can where they are. If the best resources for development and production here, use that. If you find good resources for early stage investment in your home country, use that. Like, why would you go to Silicon Valley to raise money if it's easier to raise money in Japan.
Yeah.
In Silicon Valley, it's so competitive, you're an outsider, it's going to be really hard. In Japan, not so competitive, you're local. You have a huge advantage. Especially if you have global plans, like most of startups at HAX, you totally stand out because most companies in Japan are very domestic. So they're like, oh, global plans. Oh, but it's not just a plan. You actually, you also are actually doing it. You're using Shenzhen, you're going to Silicon Valley, you're doing all those things. Okay, for scaling, Silicon Valley is great later, but at the beginning, not so good.
ベンジャミンは日本のこともすごく知っていて、例えば東京、You still funding the 東京オタクモードライト。
Yeah, financial.
東京オタクモード、あと言語とかはファンディングをしていて、ああいうのは逆に very very far to in other side of outside of Japan。言語、東京オタクモード。
Global startups from Japan.
Yes.
My interest.
Yes. 逆にだから東京オタクモードみたいなのは世界で東京でしか見つからないタイプのスタートアップ。なので、そういうのを見つけるのもうまい。
Yes. In the global innovation process, can you find any challenges or disadvantages at present in order to capture Shenzhen as a
Disadvantage of Shenzhen?
challenges or problems?
Yes, of course. The language is one problem. The business style, very different. So you need to change you need to learn a different business culture, adapt. But most startups, even they know nothing at the beginning, they do it well. So it's not easy, definitely not easy. But with support and with advice, it looks like everybody can do it. Whereas other problems that, there's this impression that China is very cheap. It's not true. It's not cheap. Like the engineers in China now, in Beijing or Shanghai, just as expensive as in Europe.
Yes.
Maybe not as in US, yes. To the point that some teams, some Chinese companies are hiring people in Europe. So developing R&D in Europe.
Yes.
It's cheaper.
Yes.
Crazy.
Yes.
So those are kind of challenges. People generally, when they think of China, they think, oh, they're going to copy me, my IP is risk. And if you do something, it's true if you do something easy and successful. But if you do something hard and early, probably nobody will do it. And also, if it's hard because of science, because of software, because of community, just the factory cannot do that so easily. They need scientists, they need business people, they need branding people. So those things protect you. Also, you can arrange the supply chain and do a good selection and split the supply chain to protect your know-how and the technology. So there's different things you can do. Okay, more products. This one very interesting for Japan. This one can test after you eat if you have problems with the digestion. So next time you know what is good and what is bad for you. So the way it works is it detects with your breath if you have hydrogen in your breath. Hydrogen appears when you eat something and your intestine don't like it, then it creates hydrogen. It goes into your blood, goes everywhere in your body, and then goes into your lungs, and then you breathe out hydrogen. Normally you cannot detect, but with this you can track. And gradually you can learn how to avoid the food that make you not well.
ハイドロゲンはキストで、要は消化不良っていうか体にいまいち合わない食べ物を検知してくる。食べた後フーってやってなんかハイドロゲンが入ってるとお前の体とこれはあんま合わないっすみたいな。本当は気とか抜いて調べるんだけどそれだとちょっと手間がかかりすぎるから息でできるようにしたのがいいと思う。
So that's one from Ireland. This one is a blood testing device. So it can test your blood with one drop of blood. So that helps a lot with diabetics, other conditions.
サイマックスが前に作った次はです。起業したばっかりの時に。
So I was in US in May, and I had basically I needed to do blood tests. In US it cost me $1,500 to do blood tests. In France it cost me less than €100. It's so expensive that if you could do your test yourself, it would be so much better. So this is part of the future of a personal hospital on detecting diseases before they happen. So I don't know, maybe some of you are diabetics, but maybe some of you are pre-diabetics, but you don't know. Maybe if you could change your habits now, you would never become diabetic. But if you don't know, it can change. So this is an interesting example because this product, as you can see here, so you put the blood drop on here, so pricking your finger, like this. 3 months before this was this. 3 months before, a bit bigger. They came to Shenzhen, and they were thinking, they came to Shenzhen thinking, okay, we can make something that works with a smartphone. But we told them, look, you're in Shenzhen, change the way you think. You don't need to make an attachment to a smartphone. Make a smartphone. Why not? Those factories here can do it. It's easy. You just need to modify the design, include the electronics in there, and you remove the voice so that it's not a phone, so that you don't have problems with telecom regulation. Just connect the device. This one is interesting also. It's a sitting tracker, like a Fitbit for sitting. So by just sitting on it, it can track your heart waveform, your breathing, your sitting time, and your posture. So we sit a lot during the day. It's not that some people say sitting is the new smoking. It's a new addiction. It's a disease of our times. They created this very thin sensor they can put in a cushion, or they can embed into a chair, or a bed, or a car seat, or anything. So here you see it's very flat. Above you see this kind of mattress. So now the mattress is down. There's something attached to the guy's finger. This is a medical device, a different device. This one is under the mattress, and they get the same signal. It's quite incredible. So it would be really good for healthcare, seniors, in addition to tracking sitting.
I backed also.
Yes.
That's what
So that's the first product is a simple cushion that can help you track a lot of things. So with your heart rate and breathing rate, you can calculate the stress level. So the cushion can tell you you're very stressed now. Take a break. Then you go walk a little bit, drink a glass of water, come back, and then you can see if the stress has changed. This one is to help people who have body habits, unconscious habits, like biting their nails, pulling their hair. They don't realize they're doing it, but it can really damage their hands, it can really remove all their hair or part of their hair, and it becomes a big problem in their life. So with this, they can track that habit. And this one, the electronics is also very simple, but it's really pure software to recognize and differentiate food with different gestures. Drink a glass of water, no alert. So robotics, a few examples. Those are also pretty cool. So a lot of people think of robots as humanoids, like us people are subtle. But we're not there yet. Actually, we invested in over 10 robot companies, none of them humanoid. This is more the type of companies we have. So one is this low-cost robot arm. Most robot arms in factory that are precise and strong, they cost $50,000 or more. This one, less than $5,000. This is a robot that works in supermarkets. I'll show you what it does. So a little bit of music. So with computer vision, it can scan what's on the shelves, recognize if some products are missing, if there's a mistake. So it's to do automated inventory. Last week I was in Hong Kong, in the supermarket. There was 10 people with boards on the markers counting the items. There were like 10 people doing that. I just picked like one bottle of cider that was like, oh shit, I messed up the inventory. And this robot can do the job of about 30 hours of inventory work in 30 minutes. So much more efficient. They already pilot in Target. They're doing very well. This one is a robot for delivery. People talk about drones, but in big cities, having a drone above your head with a package,
Yes.
probably going to be a problem. So ground delivery is the way. So this one goes around for delivery. They're already doing some pilots as well. That team was from MIT and Penn State. They worked in robotic companies for 2 years after.
Yeah, but before last one, in the supermarket, detect thing is so difficult to do computer vision.
Oh yeah. So they don't use RFID, they're not scanning barcodes, they're looking at the packaging on the brand, and they have a huge database on the smart computer vision system to recognize everything. Really quickly. It's very advanced. This one is a big robot, very big, about the size of 2 tables like this. And it's to go into dangerous or difficult environments. So it can climb things.
I really like this video.
Yeah. Team from Switzerland. Switzerland very strong at robotics. So you see even the small wheels can climb big obstacles. It's something quite difficult to do for robots.
Yes.
3 months before this, they have this little robot.
いや、ロボットも面白いんだけど、一番面白いのは、前の路上とかで、あんなでかいものを普通に動かしても誰も文句を言わないっていう、この深センの環境で。
深セン、a little bit loaded weight.
そうそう、yes.
日本でやったら警察がバレちゃう。
It's the most important for innovation.
Yeah, that helps. I mean, it's not really totally loaded weight, but they went out in the evening in the small streets. It was a little bit guerrilla robotics, yeah, it's people go around. Like 2 years ago, I was seeing people on hoverboards, the 2-wheel scooter. Around here, it's okay. Like if you look outside in the market the other day, they were flying drones,
yes.
flying even a small plane.
Yes.
All right. On some fun robots, this one for Olympics probably quite good. So actually, those guys, so they love robots, they love ping pong, and they created a really smart robot. But the people who do serious sport, they're very suspicious of robots. They're like, this robot maybe will give me bad habits or cannot train me well. So they went to meet with Olympic coach in the US, Olympic players. And the coach said, okay, your robot, I've seen robots before, they just serve, but can you do this serve? And they showed a really tricky serve. So the ball goes 1, 2, 3, like this, like almost right angle. 1, 2, 3. It's like crazy spin. So the founders, they look at it, they change a couple of things for the robot, press a button, and the robot did 100 serves just like that. So the coach was like, this is great. I don't need to do this anymore. Because the coaches, they don't really like serving balls. Their real value is deciding what to train of the players, looking at the player's style, and giving them feedback. But serving balls is so boring for coaches, it's terrible. So with an advanced robot that can really control the drills, the coaches can focus on the real high value service, on maybe train better or train more people. So that's kind of a cool thing.
僕これこの間のHAXのデモデーのサンフランシスコでやらせてもらって、結構ね、ここにちゃんとね置いてくれる、一番簡単なのにしてくれっていう風に言って、スマートフォンで Easy っていうのを選ぶと、ゆっくりしたボールが結構この辺にこう来てくれて跳ね返せるので。
You get the feeling you're very good because if you repeat a simple drill, you can
Yes.
Wow, so good.
楽しい。
After that, with a real person, you realize they don't give it to you here.
Yes, yes.
So the robot can also change the drill. They can do like bang, bang, bang like this. And they showed it to one of the Olympic players. Chinese girl, actually the US Olympic team, so those were Chinese. Anyway, so she found the robot quite fun. So she asked to play in fastest mode. So the fastest is you get 2 balls every second.
Wow!
2 per
マシン
second.
ガン。
So she took 2 paddles, and it was like bam, bam, bam. Almost everything goes in. That's really impressive.
Yeah, it's a different sport from football. Look at the gathering.
So that's robotics. So infrastructure, you talked about this earlier. This is quite, yes. Yes.
I think saying the powerful electric parts for
Yeah.
so it's difficult to I think
Yeah, actually there's here this electronics market, but there's also the mechanical market, another market, where they have all sorts of things for mechanic, like machines. So actually, Shenzhen is great for robotics. And you know China is one of the biggest countries for using robots, and they're becoming one of the biggest for making robots too. Not only factory robots, but also all sorts of consumer and service robots. So we saw that the robotics in China is one of the fastest growing categories of products.
この中だと俺とそこの鈴木君は行ったことあるけど、ここから車で1時間ぐらい行った PCB 工場を見たあたりのPCB 工場から2キロも離れてないところにサイ電子場っていう全部モーターとアクチュエーターとばっかりのすごいでかい電子マーケット。
The robotics people, when they go there, they go crazy because they see all those like railings, engines, and then they realize you can even make custom motors. Because sometimes they take a catalog and they're like, okay, these catalogs are great. And they look and they say, okay, let's call this company, I want this model. They call the company say, you want this one? Okay, we don't have it now, but we can make it. They're like, what do you need? Say, well, actually the catalog is just to show some examples. Because we can make anything you want. They can make custom things, like crazy, like people don't realize it's even possible to have custom models, or for optics you can also get custom lenses by contacting the suppliers. So it's really impressive. You have to change your way of working and thinking when you work with Shenzhen, because you can do things you cannot do anywhere else.
最電市場がバオワンの、バオワンとかもう少しドングワに近い方の工場がいっぱいあるところにあるのは、周りにいっぱい工場があって、エレベーターとかベルトコンベヤーとか動くも動いてるんですが、多分それなりにしょっちゅう壊れるんですよ。ですぐ直せ、そのベルトコンベヤー回すでかいモーター買ってこいみたいな、そういうオーダーに応えられるような産業用機械が死ぬところにある。もちろんちっちゃいのでもちっちゃいのはね、日本で買うとそこまで値段変わらないんだけど、でも。
If you want to open a kaiten sushi, think about it.
Yes, they are making a kaiten sushi.
Okay, so this is a project for infrastructure, but also for a lot of other things. It's a chip. It's a computer, it's a microcomputer for $9. It's 1 gigahertz CPU. It's like an average tablet.
I have this.
Oh, you have this? How do you like it? What do you do with it?
Wi-Fi is good. the Wi-Fi is Bluetooth, but it's not so much consumption.
It's all Linux, so it's easy to use also for software people. And
It's better than Raspberry Pi.
It's better than Raspberry Pi and it's like 1/3 of the price.
Yeah.
Right? And also it has Bluetooth and Wi-Fi on it, so you don't need to buy extra things. And it's small, so you can put it inside products. So they went on Kickstarter, those guys. They raised $2 million. They sold 40,000 units. And now they're growing even more. They raised $5 million from GGV, over $5 million. And they're now making a lot of other things. They make this tiny computer. One of their customers created with this chip an Amazon Echo for $10. So it's really going to, when you can have advanced computers for so cheap, you can create consumer products for $50, for $100, you can sell them, right? It's so cheap that you could almost think you could give them away. If you're selling a service, you could give them for free. You know, if today you want to make a mobile app or a mobile game, how much does it cost you to get first the download? The download costs $1, $2, $3, sometimes $5 just for download. If you want an active user, you have to, maybe multiply that. And if you want a paying user for a mobile game, maybe it's 10 times what you pay for the download price or more. So a mobile app looks cheap and easy, but in fact, user acquisition costs a lot of money. Like some of you guys make mobile apps, right? So you know that. To the point that here, you could think that acquiring a user for $10 is actually quite cheap. Actually, if you sell a service for even just $5 a month, you make $60 in a year. You could give this for free. So it will change a lot of things, this type of microcomputer. So they are the first ones to do such a good computer for so cheap. Maybe some competitors will rise, but I think they have a good start. Another one for infrastructure is this agriculture sensor. It's a network of sensors that can help you understand if you need to irrigate, if you need to use more water, if you need to use more fertilizer, or in which area. At the moment, the farmers, they don't know so well precisely, so they do everything the same. So sometimes they use too much water, they use too much fertilizer. This they can save a lot of money and have better results. Fabrication, so for the makers, that's probably the most interesting thing. And those are kind of evolutions of what might happen in fabrication. That was a big topic at the Fab Lab conference about distributed fabrication, personal fabrication, precision production, mass customization. There's a lot of interesting things like this. One product that's pretty cool, for example, is you have 3D printing to make plastic casing and do small plastic prototypes, but it's very hard to prototype electronics. With this, you can do it. It's called Volterra, and it's a machine that can help you print circuit boards at home. This is how it works. Conductive silver ink, silver nanoparticles. So you print your circuit. After that, you just need to place the. It can also put the solder paste. Then, by hand, you place the component, and then you can do the reflow on the machine. So it saves a lot of trouble for prototyping, and so that's pretty good. They won the Dyson Innovation Award last year. So what else we got? This one, so this is a team, also really cool machine. So you know laser cutters, I'm pretty sure, cut things. You know that the desktop laser cutters, they can only cut soft material, like plastic or wood. The problem is that with plastic in particular, it creates a lot of fumes, and they cannot cut hard material. This is a water jet cutter. It cuts with water. For soft material, you only need high pressure water. For hard material, they put tiny grains of sand, special sand inside, and it's like, imagine a river going through a mountain for 1 million years, right? It will go through the mountain. It's like a super fast river. So it cuts everything, literally. This is a little video. Oh, sorry, this is not.
鉛筆切ってもしながらです。レーザーカッターで鉛筆切ったりするんじゃないですか。
いや、このウォーター、これはウォータージェットカッター。
これだったら知らないけどです。
いや、ウォータージェットカッターも指切れる。
鉛筆が切れる。
いや、鉛筆か。
So let's show you a little bit. So here they're cutting a plate of steel. So the movement is a bit faster. This is titanium. This is glass. Carbon fiber, ceramic. Can make a beautiful bathroom. And this is Damascus steel. Really hard steel. Recently they made some funny videos. Maybe I'll find them and show you a little bit. But they're going to launch on Kickstarter in September. So they make some promotion videos. Let me see if I can find them. Welcome to the YouTube channel, where we see weird things from the federal. 4th of July, or the federal state. Not the United States. For the U.S. National Day. That's what it is. Show you a whole series. So you've seen the movie Batman? Batman has special weapons, he throws the shape of a bat. But in the movie, it takes a lot of time to make them. If you had a water jet, it would be much faster. So that's some steel.
いや今のビデオ撮るのはいいけど、キックスターター前にどっかに上げるのはマナー上ないです。
They put it on Facebook to build a community. The Batarang video, I don't remember exactly, I think they got 20,000 views.
Upload to Facebook already. Okay, we can take the video.
Okay, I got the last one, just for entertainment. So in US, a plate with pickle, this is China, like Chinese porcelain.
Yes.
China. So they decided to put China in China.
Yeah, steak is the US, porcelain is the China.
But doing this with by hand is really hard, very long. So this is cool. So anyway, this is so they're going on Kickstarter in about 1 month, 3 weeks. So there's those guys. So I think this is really cool tool because it's for hardware if you want, but also to make a lot of things. This is going to be about the price of a good 3D printer. So quite affordable as a tool. And anybody wants to pre-order, you can maybe get you a special deal. Numbers are here. You interested? Anybody interested in Wazer to maybe buy later? You don't have to buy now. If we have a few minutes, if you'd like, I can maybe ask one of the founders to come and answer some questions later, but they're around. Another one that was pretty cool is a machine to make knitwear. So this is an old version of the machine, but you can see already. Winter is coming, right? So you can do mixed color, a lot of different shapes. You can do hats, neckties, sweaters, skirt, dress, whatever. You can do a lot of things. Computer controlled knitting machine. You can even take a picture and you can print whatever you want. And you can actually knit what you want as a picture, which is also pretty cool. So this one also going to Kickstarter soon. This one is a complex one, but you know this toy, maybe? The pin box? They're trying to make a big pin box as a factory tool so that you can change the shape and you can create, instead of having one mold, create only one product a million times, you have one mold that can have a million shapes. So it's to create custom manufacturing. So that's a very interesting project as well for the future of manufacturing. So that's pretty much all I have for the examples. There's more information online on our SlideShare account. We wrote a lot of articles on TechCrunch. You can watch a documentary on Shenzhen. So that's basically the end of my presentation. I probably missed some of your questions, so I'm happy to take some questions now. And I can also maybe see if there's some founders who can interact a little bit. So that's all I have for now. Thank you very much.
Sorry, one more ask for you.
Yes.
Eric Pan, is something happened with you are still working in here?
So some of our startups work with Seed Studio, but not many because their specialty is like pro makers. So they mostly do like small circuits, small products. Here our startups generally need something more complex on larger scale. So we have a few startups working with Eric, but not many.
Okay.
It's a different, I would say, in the hardware world, you have like the makers, I would say makers, maker pros, then small businesses, and then startups. With kind of different spirit. Like the small business, they create maybe a product that's quite simple, they're okay with small scale, they just want to have some business, maybe they will do a different product later. A lot of Shenzhen companies or Chinese companies are like that.
Yeah.
A lot of Shanghai is more like small business time. Not so innovative, but quite quick. And they make one product and then another one. Maker pros are inventors who create a product for themselves and try to make it for others as well, generally for other makers. So that's the beginning of the maker movement. And the makers are mostly learners, hobbyists, people who want to have fun with technology, but they're not so interested in the business part. Startups are people who try to do something generally quite difficult and high risk to do something big. So it's different categories. And I think Seed Studio work with maker pros and some small business, but mostly maker pros. HAX works with hardware.
Yes.
So that's.
But he's still running the founder over here.
No, it's not founder.
Not founder.
No, it's not founder. It was cooperating for the first batch.
Oh, okay.
He was the host. We used his office for the first program.
Yeah, first program.
After that, it's separate.
Oh, okay.
So, any question you have still?
For
how do you select the hardware startup?
So I mentioned the criteria for selection. So a complete team, a big market, defensible technology or science or community, and a proof of concept. There was also a question of how do we find them, right? So we were the first to do an accelerator, so initially people found us. We tried to look for projects. Today, we basically find the startups through direct applications. They hear about us because we're a lot in media and things, so they go to our website and they fill in the application. Now we have a network of founders, of advisors, of partners, so they also recommend people to us. And then we also participate in some conferences and some events, so we can meet people face to face and see their projects there. So it's kind of a mix of this.
So how much is this?
Yeah, so I will mention one of the slides. So 4 months program plus $100,000 in cash. Yeah, per company. So actually, the value of the program is also quite high because this costs money, right? So the valuation for the startup that only have an early prototype is actually quite generous, I think. But we try to. That's why the fact we select really high quality projects, we give them pretty good valuation, so everybody's quite happy.
I think you mentioned that you will pay 9% of 9% of stake. Do you stick to the ratio of the stake if the company grows? Or the means?
So if they grow, we typically do some follow-on funding. For seed or Series A, we will invest $200,000 more or extra, or sometimes more than that. But typically, after seed, we get about 10% in total, 10 to 15% depending on the valuation. We maintain our share at Series A typically, and after that, it's too expensive for us. Because even if you want just to maintain your share at Series B, it costs you hundreds of thousands or millions. But for us, with millions, we can invest in a lot of companies. In $1 million, we can invest in 10 companies. So we basically early stage still, but we try to do some follow-on.
あとそれとは別にサンフランシスコでもう立ち上がったプロダクトの販売とかもっとエクスパンドをサポートする HAX ブーストっていうプログラムをやっていて、その時は時価で 2% 分の株式で一緒にやるみたいな話で、多分日本の会社はそっちの方がアクセラレーションよりはなんか参加する会社多そうな気がなんとなくしてます。まだ一個も日本の会社ないけど。
Yeah, so the boost program helps with scaling. So for companies that already have a product, so it's more open. Some HAX startups go there, but also have a lot of outside startups go to boost. So that's a different program.
特に日本でどうぞ。
Do you have exit?
Not really yet. I mean, we had one small acquisition, but it was really quite small. And at the moment, most of the companies we invested in, because HAX grew like this, so in time. So the first half, some of them are doing really well, have valuations of 30, 40 million. But the other half is too young for acquisition. We had one company almost had acquisition right when they finished the crowdfunding. They did really well. They had 2 different companies talk to them to buy them. The discussions went quite far. The value was over $20 million. But eventually, the terms changed and the acquisition didn't happen. So now they just decided to build the company and not worry about acquisition. It's funny because that's also a lesson for founders that the crowdfunding went really well. They were super happy. So they were like, this is kind of the mood. So they were super happy. Then there's people contact them for acquisition, even more happy. And then the acquisition doesn't finish. Go like this. And so we have to tell them, look, you were here before you even talked to those guys. You were very happy. You should be very happy. Everything is going very well.
Eライトぐらいじゃないかな、ちゃんとエグジットした。 Yeah, E-Light is a big success already.
E-Light, yeah, they do well. They do smart
Because
lights.
we can see a lot of Xiaomi's light in everywhere.
Yeah, Xiaomi invested. I think E-Light might, rather than, it's possible that E-Light will IPO, I think, in maybe 2 years in China, because the multiples in stock market in China are very good. Sometimes for technology companies, like 50 times the revenue. So that means if you have revenue of like 10 million, your valuation could be 1 billion. In some cases, it's crazy.
And yesterday I visited the Make Block office.
Make Block.
They are so grown. Yeah, very surprised. So I met them the first time 2013, maybe less than 30 people.
Yeah, Make Block is a robotic, it's kind of labeled for robotics, Chinese company. They probably have 100 people.
Yeah. I don't know, now is 250 people.
250 people.
Yeah, amazing.
Those guys are doing very well. What's very interesting about them is that most of their sales, Make Block, are outside China.
Yes.
And when you look at their brand, you would say, oh, where is this from? Maybe US? I'll show you a little bit.
誰も中国戦って知らないと思う、あれ。クオリティ高い。They are first batch, right? Yesterday we visited the Make Block office and we very surprised and where can buy it? Yeah.
Yeah, so they're doing very well. The valuation is also over 40 million. So
I bought it. I bought it.
Ah, you bought it?
Yes.
So you're happy with it?
Yeah, I just bought it yesterday.
Okay. So you're not
As a souvenir.
And I have a many Make Block in my company and a lot of our employees enjoying the Make Block in Team Lab.
So yeah, those guys are doing pretty well. If you want crazy robots, maybe you're the right audience.
Oh, it's your team. I saw Make a Frame Barrier. So nice, so impressive.
So they just launched today on Kickstarter.
Your team?
Yes.
Wow. Yeah, they are Chinese guys.
I'll tell you, this is very special because it's a modular robot you attach. Depending on how many modules, it has different movements. So if you make legs, you can walk like this. If you attach wheels, you can roll. It's really complex robot. Modular robots is today, there's no consumer product. It's the first one.
Yes.
Everywhere else is in like university laboratory. I visited a Swiss laboratory. They're doing modular robots like this. One module, it cost them $3,000 to make. One module. And I asked them, what are you going to do with this? They're like, we're not sure. They do research. So they're like, maybe furniture that can change shape, but the price is crazy. Those guys, I think this robot is about $500 only. So it's not cheap, but it's really complicated. And it's an amazing Chinese robot team from Beijing. The problem we have with them is that we're like, can we find anything useful to do for this robot? And we searched very hard, and we couldn't find anything.
Yeah, but so futuristic.
It's really incredible for robotics. Incredible.
Yeah. Because my favorite movie is Big Hero 6.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, the modular robot guys.
映画のベイマックス。
Nanobots.
モジュラーロボットいっぱい見たと思います。未来はあれになるかもしれない。
So you can program movement.
Yes, yes,
Check the
yes,
Kickstarter. It's called a cell robot. Pretty crazy.
ベイマックス。
So,
ベイマックスのあの時の悪役のロボ。
so it's a good example of one of the challenges we have. Sometimes we select a company because we really like the technology, but sometimes we find a good application, and sometimes it's difficult.
Your team.
Yeah.
Right. 僕全然関係なくメーカーフェアベイエリアでこのブース見て超やばい最高みたいなこと言って帰ってきてすごいなと思ってたんだけどこの企業すげえな。
So even though this is a really advanced technology, we couldn't find anything else as application than a toy. It's a really incredible toy.
Yes. And today's toy is tomorrow's future.
I'll show you another robot here. This one's for automatic cleaning for like big space. So the Roomba cannot do it. We have education robots. We have robot for cats. So actually this one is really interesting because it's about a very small robot that moves really fast.
It's a different company from PetCube.
Yes.
Different company.
Different
company.
This one's a robotics company. This is actually very complicated because it has to avoid obstacles at high speed and detect the cat to escape. So actually, the technology will be used in a lot of very small, fast robots at low cost. So it's really interesting. It looks like a joke, but it's very complicated and very interesting.
Yeah. まあ俺はこれ絶対来ないと思うけど。
This machine to help with depression. This one is an implant. Smart vibrator. Smart tampon. To help with fertility. This one I showed. One with ski. Running.
HAX のウェブサイト見ると卒業生一覧は載ってるからプロダクトは別に取らんでもいい気がする。面白いよ。もちろん。
So just making a little catalog. This one does.
あと大体のスライドはスライドシェアに載ってるので、HAX のスライドシェアは時間使って全部見る価値はあると思います。僕は大体読んでます。面白いです。
This one is providing gesture control. Recognize your finger gesture from your wrist. This one is education toy for girls.
前に話した時に別に
Printer for nail art. Smart lights. Control for bands. This one is a home sensing. Insect farm.
Yes. I never tried it yet, but it looks so crazy.
Okay, who tried the Midori Mushi?
Yes. はい。
Midori Mushi.
はい。夕暮れな。
Okay.
夕暮れな。
A billion-dollar company in Japan.
Yes.
So what those guys do is tiny insects that you can use as food. It tastes like snacks, and it's 40% protein. It's very clean. So this is like little shrimps.
Yeah, we Japanese often eat, sometimes eat insects, mostly in the middle mountain area such as Yamanashi and Nagano.
Thank you very much. Important information. So this one to grow plants in your house. This one to cook sous vide.
さっきの飲み水のメンターは理解の大きさ。
So if some of you like coffee, this is the most intelligent coffee machine because you can control the taste.
Wow. Deep roast or less roast?
It can actually control the acidity.
Grind.
It has the grinder on top. It can control the acidity level, the temperature of the brewing, and the concentration.
Yes, that's quite a different taste from the same beans.
Yeah, it's very of course. Yeah, absolutely. This one makes cider on Kickstarter also right now. Alchema. This one makes cocktails with capsules. Sleeping ones. Okay, I think that will be probably enough. So you probably had enough. So what I can do is maybe find if there's a couple of people who can answer some questions.
And this is a present for you and a funny story. Because last week I became 42 years old in my birthday.
42 is a very good number.
Really? In Japan is a bad number.
No, 42 is the answer to everything.
Yeah. And my Chinese friend gave a birthday present for me, but I really not sure about why. I remember, I met a French guy because this is mine from France.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, so it's a good one. You can pick it.
No, I am really not sure about the value.
No, thank you very much.
タンプレでもらったんですけど。 僕はほとんどワイン飲めなくて、かつ酔い物っぽいので、あ、そういえばフランス人になるなっていうのを覚えていて、多分僕がひなめとかと一緒にもらったからなと思って飲むよりは、美味しく飲んでくれるフランス人。
I'm back. So if you want, you can stand up. You know, move a little bit. If you want to use the bathroom, use the first time. And you've been here just a few days to visit with Takasu. Takasu is a big community organizer for makers.
Thank you.
He's quite unique person. And so I already had like a long presentation. I talked about the projects. So now it's mostly they have questions about your products or HAX or who you are or where did you get this amazing style. All right, so your turn. If you want just to say a quick introduction about your project and yourself.
Well, I think if you guys come here, you're going to miss Japanese food a lot. So make full use of the access that we have represented in Japan.
Yeah.
For our project, we came to HAX when we were at a very early stage. It was very as early as almost the end stage. We actually had a prototype coming in, but after the first week, we decided to start it. We scrapped the old one because some challenges that we towards through it. So we realized, look, there's a better way out here. So our idea is, I guess, mature and we built upon it. And within 3 to 4 months, we managed to launch a Kickstarter. Right now, we can say that we're profitable now. We paid for the tooling and covered all the unit costs, and that's within 9 months. So now we're just trying to grow more.
From basically a different project to a profitable company in 9 months.
Yeah.
So quite incredible.
Yes.
They worked really hard. So
Yes.
you see them at all time of the day on the night. So I always ask, like, are you finishing the night shift? Like you starting the morning? They work really hard. Only 3 people, only 3 founders.
Yeah, it's I think the power of the ecosystem we have here, not only in the city but also HAX. Actually, think of HAX as an API for China. So it really helps to get you in smooth in the process of getting in here, and the ecosystem of the entrepreneurs that we have here, with different perspectives. This guy will challenge you with point of view on a lot of things. Really good questions. And yeah, I think everyone's kind of going through the same journey in their own different paths. There's a lot of lessons to
Out of the 3, this is probably the company for which the project changed the most. They didn't plan to make a coffee machine at the beginning. They wanted to make something with coffee and similar functions, but the different form factor, different functions, different things. And changed a lot, and now it's looking pretty good.
Hello. It's a similar story for us too. Like we had some prototypes before coming to China. We also built our Shenzhen communities, and all the stuff comes from there. We were in our basement back in Europe, and we were trying to just have a prototype. And it was very hard. We had to wait 3 months, 3 weeks for it to be, or getting components from Farnell or Thinking. It was very hard. So we had a prototype, and we came here, and really we saw how easy it was to just iterate on everything. So you just make a design, you send it, next day you get an SLA thing, you test it, you change it again. PCB is 1 or 2 days. So everything's very fast. So at the moment we're just doing our tooling for this version. And hopefully we can see how it goes. I guess if you guys are thinking of coming here, it's really worth it, and I think the ecosystem here is what really makes all this possible. Like everything is moving so fast. You just walk around Fashion Bay, you see the new trend. I think that's very important to just go out there in the markets and test and see and ask questions and say, okay, I want this paint, I want this polarized waterproof, I want this solar panel, can I customize? And everything is customizable and everything is very so it's super important to go around and talk to people and be like, I want this, I want 10, I want something. Like 10,000?
Yes.
Yeah, I guess that's pretty much it.
Well, hi, I'm Nissan. I'm one of the co-founders of Wazer, and
water jet cutter.
As you guys probably heard, we're developing the first desktop water jet cutter. You guys are makers interested in hardware. You've probably used a lot of desktop application tools. And one of the challenges that we found as engineers is that it's still really difficult to fabricate hard materials. And that's really the advantage of water jet cutting, is you can literally cut any material. This is an example of a part within a few hours. We cut this carbon fiber plate as a replacement for Noel, who was a designer here. His wheelchair with a custom mount for an umbrella location that's like really super convenient for him, and it's raining like literally every day. And so, these are just some of the, it's just a completely different tool than what's available and accessible to makers. And existing water jets cost over $100,000. They take up a whole room, and we are making a device that is compact, contained, and makes it clean and safe and quiet to use, and appropriate for a small workshop. And we're going to be, we've been here at HAX developing since January, and we'll be launching and live on Kickstarter in 1 month.
Right. Any question? Yes.
You said the workshop is small.
HAX.
Shenzhen is a big workshop.
Yes.
So where do you actually assemble the machines?
Where do you assemble the prototypes?
So we work in the workshop here. There's enough space. There's enough space for us to build our machine here. But in terms of getting components made, we oftentimes utilize suppliers that are in the area, whether it's local CNC machining or 3D printing or other fabrication methods.
Also some places they will, let's say you want to do like 20 or 50 PCBs for your first alpha sort of prototypes. You can just go to any of these houses like 620 or other people, other places. Yeah.
Yes.
So you go there and say, oh, I want to make this amount, and they will be like, oh, you can have this space. I want to, after the PCB out of the oven, they will be very good.
What places are you visiting on this trip?
First day is in the morning. I will visit Agile Manufacturing Center in Seed Studio. And second one is PCB factory is at the Bawang. And third one is NX robot in the Nanshan Industry and Science Connecting Parks in Nanjing University. So I should robot. And second day is yesterday in the morning I went to the SZIO, Shenzhen Open Innovation Lab for day 3. And second one is the Typhoon Maker Space, and see the makers more creative place in OCT. And third one is the Make Block. We can see the growing startup in Shenzhen. And fourth one is already the Genesis. In Shenzhen make high quality manufacturing with Japanese CEO. And today is first visit is here, and next one is we will go to the SEG plus makers, because maker ecosystem is not only here. Other people running Chinese making the other ecosystem in SEG plus, and we can see the high-end fixing robot and Shenzhen make block, fake copy in this. Just behind the city, and after I bring them to the local infrastructure, such as dirty cell phone market, and some open cell phone market, and Shenzhen, and maybe some factory machine. We want to explain almost anything is possible in Shenzhen.
Okay, that's pretty good trip. So, any other questions? Yes, go ahead.
I believe with will be big success. Yeah, everybody wants to buy. The problem is how do you think about after sales support?
After sales support.
Yeah, that's a good question. It's going to be really important to do that. So one of the things that we'll do is, first of all, the main thing is abrasive supply.
also will definitely there will also be supporting the machine with components. There are certain components that are going to wear over time and need replacements, and if components need the first run of machines, if there is a component that breaks, we're going to have to replace it. But it's going to be kind of similar to models of existing desktop laser cutters or desktop 3D printers. It's going to be somewhere. It's not going to be like a full, $10,000 or $20,000 or $100,000 machine where we'll send over someone in person, but we'll be working with the individuals that have as issues arise to make sure that the machine is functioning.
There was somebody from Poland in the
Yes.
Yes, that's you.
CNC.
When they at the fair, the Fab conference, they had Roland had a big booth, and Wazer had a small booth next to it, but it was quite popular, including with Roland people.
Yes.
Okay, another question I think around here. Yes.
In HAX program, what kind of support is most helpful?
Oh, nice question.
That's the most helpful.
I think it varies between.
This guy's gonna say not me.
No, but it depends on the team. So some teams we receive different help in different areas. So for example, in our case, we had a prototype. So our next step was the design of the product because it looked very ugly in the first place. Maybe it still looks ugly, but in the very beginning, like trust me, in the very beginning it was very, very bad. So it's like when they help you design the product and make it sexy, they also take the manufacturing in mind. So they will actually do some initial DFM, design for manufacturing for you, which will help you later on when you go to do your plastics. And the design actually will help you when the molds are being made. So I guess that's an example of sort of more isolated help that you get for your specific needs. Other teams will get more help or mentoring or in the business model or electronics or other things. So I guess it depends. I guess these guys are also right there.
This for you was mostly around design.
It was design and it was the DFM and really having access to those knowledgeable people, plus also the older teams of HAX that already been through everything. It's like, hey, what do I do with PCBs? How do I get this specific component? How do I source components? Texas Instruments are hard to find here. How do I source those components? So how do I do rubbers? How do I do, like, all these questions, the previous teams were able to help and also HAX staff.
What was for you?
For us, it was communication with suppliers. We're building a very complex machine. We've had to order hundreds and hundreds of pieces of hardware, whether it's mechanical or electrical or hydraulic or pneumatic hardware. With the language barrier, it's challenging to get what we need. And so HAX, the staff here that are bilingual and have basically can help us communicate with suppliers and find the parts that we need.
Yeah, in the case of Wazer, they didn't really change the purpose of the machine, but the machine improved a lot, reduced the cost. So you have a better machine for cheaper that you can scale in production. And aside from that, I guess that's the brand.
Yeah, I mean,
for brand.
There was definitely other things as well. Around the branding.
There was a heated discussion. A lot of the teams joining HAX are very technical, so the brand tends to be very descriptive of what the product is. It's very clear that it's not always very memorable or very interesting. So in some cases, we work with them to change the brand. It varies. So if they change the brand, they didn't. You guys didn't, I think, right? A little bit. Yeah. But there's different aspects. In your case, what was the most useful?
The second point that it really depends on the type of project that we have and to the phase of the project when you join. So for our case, again, it was very early, so there was a lot of the business model. Even one factor customer society market with that kind of product. So for us, I guess it really depends on whether or not you see it as an advantage or disadvantage. But for us, when we gather the data points, I think that the real value and support here is not very concrete in the sense that it's engineering or